Have you ever wondered, what if everything you're trying so hard to conquer is actually the very thing exhausting you? What if instead of evolving, you're moving away from yourself? And what if the peace you seek isn't at the top of the mountain, but in the silence of the one who sits down and stops climbing, stops striving to live, and perhaps you'll discover that life has always been living through you. Carl Jung once suggested that when we cease trying to control life, we begin to feel its rhythm moving within us. Feel these words as a whisper coming from a place you already know, but long ago forgot, as if existence itself were trying to remind you of something, not through noise, but through the delicate presence of a sunset that almost no one notices. And yet, it happens. We all carry a kind of invisible fatigue, a weariness that doesn't come from the body, but from the endless, desperate effort to be something, to be good enough, rich enough, spiritual enough. And that enough never comes. We live as if we owed life an improved version of ourselves, as if merely existing, merely breathing, were not sufficient. And so we become prisoners of a cruel verb: to try to improve, to try to succeed, to try to find purpose. We try so hard that we forget what it means to simply be. Carl Jung, in his quiet and profound way, invited us to question all of this. He didn't shout, he didn't impose, he observed. And through that observation, he led us beyond effort and into flow. A flow that doesn't demand, doesn't claim, doesn't judge. It simply is. This message is not a manual, not a formula. It's a mirror, an invitation to sit for a few minutes and remember that perhaps, just perhaps, you're trying to become what you already are. There's nothing to achieve, no medal to hang on the soul's chest, only the chance to see, amid the chaos of everyday life, a subtle beauty. The beauty of not having to fix anything, not even yourself. So, if you're tired of trying, of proving, of running, stay here with me. Let's move through this quiet night together, as one moves through a dream. And maybe by the end, we'll discover that the silence we fear is the only place where we can still hear ourselves. There exists a kind of fatigue that has nothing to do with the body. It's not eased by a good night's sleep, a hot shower, or a weekend rest. It's a deeper, quieter exhaustion, born from the relentless effort of being someone. And perhaps you know that kind of weariness, not the one you feel in your muscles, but the one that lives deep in your chest, where the soul goes silent. From a young age, we're told we must become someone in life, as if simply being alive, breathing, weren't enough. And so we step into an invisible theater, put on masks, and start performing. We act as if we're always auditioning for the lead role, waiting to be recognized for something we can't even name. We live not as who we are, but as who we believe we must prove ourselves to be. And the worst part is, almost no one questions this script. We wake already in debt to the day, rushing to complete tasks, to achieve goals, to appear interesting, to please others. And at night, we try to rest with the illusion of having fulfilled something, though we no longer know what that something is. Carl Jung said that life isn't a journey toward a final destination. It's a dance, and no one dances to arrive anywhere. We dance because the music is playing, that's all. But we forget. We march instead of dance, we force smiles instead of softness, and we turn existence into a constant effort to be something other than what we already are. Have you noticed that the most beautiful moments in your life were never planned? Those sudden bursts of laughter, silent embraces, the glances that said everything without a single word. None of that came from effort. It arrived in the spaces between your efforts. It arrived in the pause, in the stillness, in simply being. But we were taught that value only exists where there is struggle, that rest is laziness, and that only those who never stop trying are worthy. So, even when we rest, we try to rest. We want to control even spontaneity. What no one told you is that this endless striving comes from a cruel idea, the belief that you are not enough. Now, when you try to be more spiritual, you tell yourself you aren't spiritual enough. When you try to be calm, part of you believes you're still too anxious. The more you try to become someone, the more you reinforce the belief that deep down, you are still no one. And there, in that constant attempt to escape yourself in search of an idealized version that never arrives, that's where true exhaustion is born. Carl Jung once said that it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, and perhaps there lies the root of our exhaustion. We spend our lives trying to fit into expectations that were never born from our own essence, and in doing so, we lose touch with who we truly are. We wear masks on social media, at work, in social gatherings, and slowly, those masks drain the life out of us. We wake up tired because we've been playing a role that doesn't belong to us. But what if there's nothing to fix? What if, instead of trying to repair what was never broken, you simply allowed yourself to feel, to pause, to breathe, to just be, not to be accepted, not to be loved, but because for the first time, you've realized that you already are enough. Enough not in the sense of being finished, but in the sense of being present, fully here, whole, even in your fragments. Perhaps this fatigue you feel is not a sign of failure, but of awakening. A gentle call from life whispering, "Stop. Step off the ladder. Put down the backpack." You don't need to become someone else. You only need to remember who you already are. Before we go on, have you ever noticed there's something far more dangerous than failure? Silent stagnation. That state of being constantly busy, yet never at peace, endlessly searching without any real sense of direction. This happens because many try to change what's outside without rebuilding the mental foundation that supports everything. Jung taught that true transformation comes when our thoughts, actions, and intentions begin to move in harmony. There exists a little-known process that teaches exactly this: how to align the mind with purpose and bring order to inner chaos. Rooted in behavioral science and ancient wisdom, it helps ordinary people step out of confusion and create lives with greater awareness, autonomy, and direction. We recorded a detailed video about this process, which you can watch on our site. You can access it now by scanning the QR code or clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. Have you noticed how often we try to force life to happen? We plan, schedule, set goals, follow methods and routines, as if life were a wild beast that must be tamed before it destroys us. But what if it's the other way around? What if this obsession with control is what's slowly destroying us? Jung believed that what we call effort is often a subtle form of resistance, a quiet refusal to accept what is. We try to be happy, which means we start from the belief that we are not. We try to be spiritual, implying that we are distant from the spirit. We try to be calm, which reveals the war still raging within us. So effort doesn't bring us closer to what we seek. It pushes us further away. The harder we try, the more we affirm the absence. And the more we affirm the absence, the more trapped we become in frustration's endless cycle. Life becomes an eternal rehearsal for something that never arrives. When I get that job, then I'll be happy. When I heal, then I'll love. When I find peace, then I'll rest. But that when is a horizon that moves further away with every step, and the faster we chase it, the more lost we become. There's a vast difference between acting and striving. The tree doesn't strive to grow. The river doesn't strive to flow. The heart doesn't strive to beat. These things happen naturally because they are in harmony with their essence. Effort, as we practice it, is a symptom of disconnection. Nature doesn't force, it flows. And we, who are part of nature, have forgotten how to do the same. Jung spoke of a cosmic paradox. The moment we stop trying, life begins to unfold on its own, like music that we can finally hear once we stop trying to control every note. Yet our culture rejects this idea. We've been conditioned to believe that effort equals virtue. Since childhood, we've been told to try harder in school, in relationships, in spirituality, as if everything meaningful could only be earned through struggle, sweat, and sacrifice. And so, even when we try to relax, we are still trying. We close our eyes, take a deep breath, and there it is, the tension in our shoulders, the tightness in our jaw, the mind that keeps insisting, relax, relax now. But relaxation doesn't follow commands. It arrives only when we stop giving orders. Just like peace, it appears not as a prize to be found, but as the silence that emerges when the search finally ends. Why are we so afraid to stop trying? Perhaps because we've mistaken effort for safety, forgetting that real peace begins where control ends. When we are trying, we feel as though we are doing something, and doing something feels safer than admitting we have no control. Yet effort itself becomes a mask, a way to avoid facing who we are without it, without goals, without ideals, without identities to chase. What remains? The truth is, we do not trust life. We do not trust that it knows what it's doing. So we grip the wheel with trembling hands, convinced that if we let go, everything will collapse. But ironically, it is that control which collapses us from within. The obsessive need to know, to predict, to be right. The mind spins like an engine that never turns off, and even when the body lies still, it remains alert. Effort became our way of existing, and that is why we are so tired. You never need to force a flower to bloom. It opens when it is ready, without rush, without effort. The same happens within you. There is a force inside that knows the path, but it doesn't shout. It whispers, and to hear it, you must quiet the constant noise of trying. You must, for a moment, have the courage not to try. Do not mistake this for passivity. Carl Jung never taught resignation, he taught alignment. When you are in harmony with the flow of life, action arises not from obligation, but from attunement, as if the universe breathes through you. Like wind through a flute, the player disappears, and only the music remains. That is what it means to live without effort, to live from energy, the energy born from surrender. Perhaps the real question is not, what more should I do? But rather, what am I forcing that I could simply allow? There is a silent grace in allowing, an unknown power that awakens when you stop pushing everything forward. When we cease to fight the tide, we realize it has always been carrying us exactly where we needed to go. Trust, such a small word, yet so difficult to live by. Trust in others, in the future, in the unseen. But the greatest challenge is to trust life itself, to trust that even without knowing the destination, You are already on the path, that even when everything appears still, something within you is quietly unfolding. Not a visible motion, but an inner ripening, like a fruit turning from green to sweet at the perfect time, never before. Carl Jung invites us to look at the world with new eyes. He does not offer certainties. He invites us to dance with mystery, to observe how everything in nature obeys its own rhythm. The tides, the seasons, the breath. Nothing in existence rushes. Nothing is late. Winter never hurries to become spring. The moon never forces its light to grow. Yet we rush constantly. We believe that if we don't act now, life will forget us. That if we stop running, we will fall behind. But behind what? Behind whom? Perhaps this endless race is what separates us from what truly matters. Because deep down, that rush is fear disguised. Fear of not being accepted, not being loved. Fear that if we stop producing, someone will discard us. As if our worth were tied to what we deliver, not to what we are. But what if our value lies not in doing, but in flowing? What if trust is precisely that? Releasing the illusion of control and surrendering to life's rhythm, even when it makes no sense. When you truly begin to trust, something changes in the way you live. Decisions stop being strategies and become listening. You stop trying to predict everything and start asking, what is life showing me right now? And suddenly you see that what looked like chaos was actually too much order for your rational mind to grasp. Trusting means realizing that the absence of answers is also an answer, that silence holds more truth than 1,000 advices. It means understanding that life will sometimes bring you to your knees, not to humiliate you, but so that you can listen to the earth, to what beats beneath all your certainties, beneath your goals, beneath your efforts. And when you trust, you begin to see the detail in the ordinary, the beauty in the unexpected, the meaning even in what once hurt, because that too helped you ripen. Trust is not believing that everything will turn out well. It is believing that even if it doesn't, you will still be here, still learning, still blooming, even amid chaos. Carl Jung once said that the tragedy of the modern mind lies in its distrust of everything it cannot control. Yet the soul has always known that trust is its natural state. Watch a sleeping baby. It does not question whether air will continue to flow. It simply sleeps, trusting. In that simple gesture lives an ancient wisdom that we, as adults, have forgotten. It's no coincidence that the great teachers always linked wisdom to childhood. Jesus said, "Unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven." Jung expanded on this truth, reminding us that the kingdom of heaven is not a place, but a state of being, a state of total presence, where you are so whole, so surrendered to the moment, that you need nothing more. And that state is only possible when you trust. To trust is to live like one who dances, not knowing the next step, but surrendering to the rhythm. Not as the one who controls the beat, but as the one who lets go and flows with it. Because in the end, you were never alone, and you never had to carry everything by yourself. It was only the ego, the small inner tyrant, that made you believe it was all your responsibility. So when you grow tired of trying to understand, to predict, to force, stop, breathe, and remember, the universe is dancing, and you are part of its choreography. There are moments in life when everything in you asks for silence, not the silence of your surroundings, but the silence within, the kind where words bow to felt truth, and thought surrenders to the wisdom of the body. Perhaps you've reached that point. Perhaps you're tired of listening, trying, fixing, tired of fighting something you cannot name. And maybe, without realizing it, that exhaustion is your calling. Carl Jung said that the moment we stop trying is the moment we truly begin to live, not out of resignation, but out of trust, not out of surrender, but out of understanding. To understand that life does not demand your effort, it asks for your presence, and presence cannot be forced. It can only be allowed. Have you noticed that your most alive moments were those when you forgot yourself? That spontaneous laughter that burst out of nowhere, that unexpected connection with someone, that lonely tear in the dark that freed you more than 1,000 pieces of advice. None of those moments came from effort. They appeared when you stopped, when you weren't trying to be strong, or wise, or spiritual. You simply were. You were the awakening itself. Contrary to what many believe, enlightenment is not a dramatic thunderclap from the heavens. It is the quiet recognition that life has always been here, waiting for you to trust it again. Many times, it is as subtle as a sunset. It arrives when you are distracted, tired, or vulnerable. And then something within you becomes still. There is no great revelation, only a sigh, something that rises from deep inside, as if a long-held tension has finally been released. That is the beginning of surrender, not as weakness, but as maturity. You begin to realize that you no longer need to hold everything together, that you don't need to have all the answers, and that what you were searching for outside has always been here, within you. But to truly see, you must stop, for truth doesn't shout, it whispers. And when you finally pause, something sacred begins to unfold. The mind that was always rushing forward grows weary and sits down. The heart that was ignored for so long starts to speak. And the body, once treated like a machine, becomes home again. You start to find beauty in stillness, to hear what you never had time to listen to before. Life begins to catch up with you, not because it wasn't coming, but because now you've stopped running. Carl Jung said that what frightens us most is the void. Yet when the void is embraced, it becomes fertile ground. That is where the new is born. The void is not the end, it is the womb. And the womb, by its very nature, is silence, darkness, and stillness. So when you stop, what seems like death is actually gestation. Don't rush to escape the silence. Don't try to fill it with noise, distractions, or goals. Simply remain there, as one who visits a temple, as one who returns to a forgotten sacred place. There, within that silence that once scared you, you will realize something profound. You are still alive, still beating, still capable of feeling. And that alone, that is a miracle. The great illusion is believing that stopping is wasting time. Yet sometimes stopping is the only way to gain clarity. A lake only mirrors the sky when its surface is calm. The mind, too, reflects truth only when it is still. When it quiets, it remembers, it reveals, it returns home. So if you've made it this far, perhaps you are ready, not to begin something new, but to stop and simply perceive. You no longer need to run. Life knows where to find you, and if you allow it, it will arrive softly, at the perfect moment, like all things that are true. Perhaps you don't need to change your path. Perhaps you only need to stop running. Maybe the answer you've been searching for lies in the silence between one question and another. Because sometimes all the soul truly wants is to be heard, without judgment, without haste, without effort. And if there is one lesson worth keeping from all of this, let it be this: you don't need to become anything to be whole. I remember a dawn when everything seemed meaningless. The city outside was silent, yet inside me there was a noise I couldn't silence. I took a notebook, not intending to write. I just wanted to feel that something in me hadn't given up. And in that pause, without expectation, the words began to flow, not as goals, but as confessions. That was when I understood. I wasn't tired of life. I was tired of pretending I needed to control it. If you've reached this point, maybe you've also recognized yourself in that exhaustion, in that quiet desire to let go. And that's okay. Here, in this space, no one needs to pretend to be strong. We simply sit together and breathe. Thank you for letting my voice accompany you this far. May these words have been a refuge, or perhaps a mirror. And if someday you feel the need to return, I'll still be here, without haste, without effort. Now, before your mind demands productivity again, make a small act of philosophical rebellion. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Not out of obligation, but to help me remain here without turning into a self-help guru. And if you wish to continue on this path, the videos appearing on your screen, one of them might be exactly what you need to hear. But I won't tell you which one. Life loves to play. Let's call it what it is. No filters, no sugarcoating. There's a hidden silent reason why you feel drained, exhausted, like life is squeezing every drop of energy out of you. And it's not what you think. It's not the to-do lists. It's not the stress at work. It's not even family problems. It's something deeper, something that's turned into a quiet parasite in your life. Your over-availability. Think about it. You're always reachable, always ready to reply to a message, answer a call, show up whenever needed. You've been conditioned to believe that this constant availability makes you respected, loved, valued. But guess what? It's the perfect trap. The invisible chain that keeps you tied to emotional mediocrity. Being constantly accessible doesn't make you strong. It makes you a slave. The more accessible you are, the less they value you. It's a psychological law as old as humanity. What's abundant is taken for granted. What's within reach loses its mystique, its magnetism. The brutal paradox is this: in your attempt to be accepted, you become disposable. The more you try to show up, the more invisible you become. The more you give your time, the less respect you earn. And this is where the vicious cycle begins. You give more just to receive less. Let me ask you an uncomfortable question. How many times have you felt like you gave everything to others and still felt empty? How many times have you burned yourself out holding on to relationships that only exist because you're the one keeping them alive? Those people aren't really with you. They're with your availability. And the moment you set a boundary, when you pull back just a little, you'll see who really values your essence and who just needed your constant presence. This is where the truth begins, the one no one wants to face. Respect is built in distance. Inner peace is found at the boundary you draw between your energy and the world's demands. It's not about shutting down. It's about clearly separating your power from external noise. People respect those who respect their own time. They admire those who say no with clarity, who aren't afraid to disappoint just because they won't satisfy everyone's expectations. Human psychology is wired with this paradox. We crave what we can't have. The unattainable pulls us in like an uncontrollable magnet. When you become the person who isn't always reachable, who prioritizes peace over approval, your presence becomes magnetic. Your absence is felt more than any forced presence. And here's the part that dismantles every excuse. Your need for external validation is your greatest weakness. As long as you stay hungry for other people's approval, you'll stay an emotional slave. Every look, every ignored message, every bit of indifference will hit like an invisible punch. But the moment you realize your worth doesn't depend on that glance or that reply, something inside you shifts forever. Real strength lives in the ability to be alone without feeling lonely, to become your own source of validation, to embrace silence not as a void, but as a full presence. Whoever masters silence masters interaction. Whoever isn't afraid of solitude becomes unstoppable in company. Let this burn into your mind. Overexposure wears you down. Overavailability waters down your essence. Being available to everyone means being absent from yourself. Every yes you give to the outside world is a no you give to yourself. And you know what happens when you live on autopilot, pleasing everyone? You empty out. You fade. You become a mere echo of who you could have been. Freedom begins when you realize you don't have to answer right away. You don't have to explain every moment of silence. Freedom begins when you stop asking permission to put your peace first. Because peace, the one you're so desperately seeking, doesn't come from approval. It comes from self-respect. Look around. Notice the people you truly respect. They're not the ones who burn themselves out trying to please everyone. They're the ones who stand firm in their limits, who aren't afraid to let others down, who know that real respect is born from authenticity, not constant appeasement. Being selective with your relationships isn't selfish, it's emotional survival. You can't build a fulfilling life if you're surrounded by people who only show up when they need something. Learn to recognize emotional drainers, the ones who appear just to empty your energy and vanish when there's nothing left to take. Don't be afraid to close doors. Closed doors create space for the ones that truly matter. Deep connections need room, fertile ground that only grows when you stop watering toxic relationships. Remember, you're not obligated to maintain ties that exhaust you. You're not in debt to anyone for protecting your peace. Self-control is your hidden superpower, the ability to pause before reacting, to reflect before responding, to choose your battles with intention. Most people are slaves to their impulses, reacting without thinking, replying without filtering. But not you. You can choose silence when others scream. You can choose calm when others panic. In deep psychology, this self-control is called inner sovereignty. It's the power to rule yourself above any external storm. When you cultivate that sovereignty, the outside world loses its grip on you. Other people's opinions become distant whispers. Social pressure dissolves like fog under the sun of your determination. Allow yourself to disappear when you need to. Don't explain your absence. Don't justify your retreat. Mystery is a powerful ally. People fear what they don't understand. They respect what they can't predict. Don't give them all the answers. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them imagine. Within that uncertainty, real respect is born. True influence isn't about shouting louder. It's about controlling access to your energy. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to answer every message, attend every event, join every conversation. In fact, the more selective you are, the more value your presence will carry. Make silence your secret language. Let your actions speak when words run dry. Let your absence become a declaration of principles. The energy you protect today is the strength you'll need tomorrow to build your real legacy. Social pressure is an illusion, fueled by collective fear. Everyone's afraid of being excluded, forgotten, ignored. But the moment you break free from that illusion, you become a magnetic anomaly. People can't help but be drawn to someone who walks outside the herd, because deep down, everyone wants that freedom, but few dare to claim it. So today, I offer you something radical. Step back. Watch the chaos from a distance. Guard your energy like a strategist planning their next move. Don't hand your peace to just anyone who knocks on your door. Choose wisely who deserves your time, your space, your essence. The real victory in life isn't being remembered by everyone. It's being remembered by those who truly matter. It's not about filling every gap in your calendar, but filling each moment with purpose. Quality always wins over quantity. True respect isn't begged for. It's cultivated through personal integrity. Remember, you are not a 24-hour support line. You're not here to be everyone's emotional lifeline. You're here to build yourself up, to protect your peace, like the priceless treasure it is. Because at the end of the day, the only approval that truly matters is the one you give yourself. Walk with that certainty. Your energy is limited. Your time is finite. Your peace is sacred. Guard them like a warrior defending the last stronghold, because within that protection lies your true freedom, and in that freedom, your real strength. Now tell me, are you willing to pay the price for your peace, or will you keep mortgaging your soul for the approval of a world that will never be satisfied? The choice, as always, is yours. And this is where I want you to listen with brutal focus, because we're about to go deeper, subtler, but absolutely connected to everything I've just said. If we were talking before about setting boundaries and protecting your peace, now we're going to explore something most people never understand: the quality of your solitude. I'm not talking about loneliness as punishment or as a result of pulling away from others. I mean solitude as a tool for personal transformation, a silent lab where you shape the best version of yourself, far away from the world's noise. Most people fear being alone because in that silence, the voices they've been avoiding echo back. They fill their lives with noise, with busy schedules, with external validation. Not because those things are necessary, but because they're afraid of facing the hardest conversation of all, the one they need to have with themselves. Over-accessibility isn't just about being too available to others. It's a distraction that pulls you away from your own inner dialogue. You're so tuned into everyone else that you disconnect from your own compass. Here's the brutal irony. Only when you dare to be alone do you stop feeling lonely. Because true loneliness isn't the absence of others. It's the absence of connection with yourself. And this is where most people fall apart. They don't know who they are without someone else's reflection. They've built their identity around how they're seen, how they're validated, how they're accepted. But when you cut those strings, when you sit alone with your thoughts, you uncover something vital. If you can't stand your own presence, why do you expect others to value it? Look at truly magnetic people, those who radiate something powerful without saying a word. They've learned to love themselves in silence. They've turned solitude into a sanctuary, not a prison. They don't need external validation because they've already validated themselves. They don't crave constant company because their own inner balance is enough. And now I'll tell you one of the most powerful keys on this path. When you become strategically inaccessible to others, You gain full access to yourself. You trade shallow conversations for deep reflection. You trade fleeting validation for genuine self-awareness. You become unshakable, not because the world got kinder, but because you did. But there's more, so much more, because as you walk this path, you start to notice something no one tells you. Your silence becomes a natural filter. Without needing to say a word, people begin to show who they really are. Those who only came around out of convenience disappear, and those who truly value your essence stay. It's brutal, almost poetic. Your very absence exposes the real intentions of the people around you. Do you know what that means? It means you stop wasting time. It means you stop pouring energy into relationships that were doomed from the start. Because now, it's no longer you who's searching. It's the world that starts searching for you. And not because you're begging for attention, but because your energy has become so rare, so genuine, that it draws people in without effort. But there's another layer I want you to understand. Beyond well-managed solitude, beyond healthy boundaries, lies a psychological principle that few truly apply: the anticipation of value. When people don't have immediate access to you, they begin to build a mental image of your worth, an image that, interestingly, grows with time. Waiting fuels imagination, and imagination breeds respect. What's scarce becomes desired. What's reserved becomes revered. This isn't empty theory. This is pure psychology. Think of anything you deeply crave. It's almost always something just out of reach, something that takes time, patience, effort. And when you finally get it, what happens? You value it more. Now apply that to yourself. When you stop being available every second, when you protect your space, when you wisely choose where to show up, your value rises, both in others' eyes and, more importantly, in your own. And now comes something very few dare to embrace. You must learn to enjoy the art of waiting. Not just making others wait for you, but you, yourself, savoring the delay of rewards, of genuine connections, of real opportunities. Because when you chase everything that sparkles, you miss what truly shines. Patience isn't just strength, it's strategy. Because the best things in life don't go to the one who runs the fastest, but to the one who waits for the perfect moment. Patience combined with selectivity is pure dynamite. It's not about shutting every door. It's about opening only the ones that lead somewhere meaningful. And believe me, this simple shift in mindset transforms your entire relationship with the world. You go from being reactive, living at the mercy of outside demands, to being proactive, setting your own rhythm. Real emotional autonomy isn't about needing no one. It's about depending on no one. There's a big difference. Of course, human connection matters, but it's only healthy when born from freedom, not need. And freedom only comes when you're willing to lose shallow ties in exchange for depth in your life. So now, ask yourself something with brutal honesty. How many of the relationships around you today exist only because you're always available? How many of those connections would remain if you stopped replying instantly, if you prioritized your time, your space, your energy? The answer will likely make you uncomfortable, and that's a good thing. That discomfort is the doorway to real change. Choosing not to be available to everyone doesn't make you cold. It makes you aware. It lets you direct your energy toward the people, projects, and experiences that are truly worth your investment. Because your energy is finite. Don't forget that. And wasting it is a luxury you can't afford. Not if you want to build a life that's full, authentic, and truly free. So here's my challenge to you. Begin to remove your pieces from the board, strategically. Let people feel your absence. Let the world notice the space you leave when you choose yourself first. Because only then will you realize a simple but powerful truth. Silence isn't empty. Silence is full of answers. And when you embrace that truth, when you truly feel it in every choice you make, in every relationship you choose to keep or release, you'll discover something that completely changes the game. You'll discover you don't need to be everywhere to be unforgettable. You don't need to always be present to be deeply respected. In the end, real presence isn't measured in quantity, it's measured in quality. Now tell me, are you ready to turn your silence into your most powerful weapon? Are you ready to let your absence speak louder than your presence? Because once you do, once you cross that threshold, I promise you, you'll never look back. And the world, I guarantee you, will never look at you the same again. But wait, don't stop just yet, because there's one more thing you need to understand if you truly want to master this invisible game: the link between your energy and your perceived identity. This concept is wildly overlooked, yet it's what separates those who get dragged by the current from those who command it from the shore. Every time you give your energy away carelessly, you're not just draining yourself physically, you're also weakening how others perceive you. What you project isn't just what you say or do, it's the quality of your energy and the direction you give it. Think about anyone you consider magnetic. It's not that they're always talking or constantly visible. It's that when they are, their energy is powerful, clear, undeniable. Do you know why? Because they protect it. They treat it like the non-renewable resource it is. Most people live as if their energy were infinite. But it's not. It gets wasted on meaningless conversations, worries that lead nowhere, and bonds that offer nothing more than a fleeting emotional placebo. And this leads us to something critical: emotional economy. No one talks about this, but your energy is like currency. You choose where to spend it. And like any economy, if you waste your resources, you end up emotionally bankrupt. That's when life starts to feel heavy, decisions become overwhelming, and the smallest external demand leaves you drained. Why? Because you've spent years funding one-sided relationships, offering attention that brings no value back, chasing validations that vanish the second you catch them. The modern world is a silent energy thief. Social media, constant notifications, addiction to instant replies, to digital illusions of connection, it all turns you into a free energy supplier for systems that will never return what you give. It's like having a bank account open to the public, where anyone can withdraw your life force without asking. And every small withdrawal you allow pulls you further away from your center. That's why people who preserve their mystery, who manage their time with intention, seem to carry magnetic energy, not because they do more, but because they do less, with purpose. They don't waste their vital resources. They don't chase outside approval. They don't dissolve into the sea of constant accessibility. And now, we touch on a truly explosive idea: self-exploitation, disguised as productivity. This is one of the most dangerous illusions out there. We believe being busy means we're progressing, that by cramming every minute of our day, we're getting closer to excellence. But the truth is, we're just masking emotional dependence with the costume of productivity. We pile on tasks because we can't bear to be alone with ourselves. We fill every silence to avoid inner confrontation. Let me say it clearly. Being busy isn't the same as being in motion. You could spend your whole life running in circles inside the cage of social acceptance and never move a single inch toward real freedom. Being selective isn't just about people. It's also about activities, about the thoughts you allow in, the goals you choose to chase. Think of this as a silent purge. Start eliminating not just the people who drain your energy, but also the tasks, the distractions, the self-imposed duties that only exist to patch artificial emptiness. Your focus is your most valuable asset, and wherever your focus goes, your entire life will follow. And no, this isn't about building a life empty of stimulation. It's about building one full of meaning, full of relationships that nourish, of projects that ignite your purpose, of moments that hold value without needing to be shared. A life full of silences that speak louder than 1,000 empty conversations. Now, we dive into something even deeper. Narrative autonomy. This concept is absolutely essential. It's about stepping out of the storyline others have written for you. Every time you say yes to being constantly available, every time you give away your time without question, you're living inside someone else's script. You're playing a supporting role in a story you didn't write. But when you reclaim your time, your space, your energy, you also take back the pen that writes your story. And believe me, there's no greater power than that. When you control your narrative, external circumstances lose their grip. You stop living in reaction to what the world expects from you. You begin to move on your own terms, in your own rhythm. Your story is no longer shaped by external approval, but by internal alignment. The peace that comes from that autonomy is indescribable. It's the peace of knowing that even when the world spins in chaos, you hold absolute command over your path. And I promise you this, that peace is priceless. No outside validation can match it. No applause can replace it. It's the peace of having built a solid, seamless life that doesn't rely on the volatility of others' opinions or the tyranny of urgency. So listen carefully to these words. When you stop being a prisoner of others' narratives, when you become the author of your own, you'll realize the freedom you've long searched for was never out there. It was always inside you, waiting for you to quiet the noise so you could finally hear it clearly. And here, right here, is where your real path begins. Not when everyone claps, not when the world follows, not when you're flooded with shallow recognition. It starts at the exact moment you choose to walk alone. Not because you lack company, but because you no longer depend on it. It begins when you make silence your ally, patience your strategy, and discernment your shield. Because in the end, the true revolution isn't out there. The real revolution happens within. In that sacred moment where you choose to stop being a slave to over-accessibility and become the absolute master of your time, your energy, your life. And just when you think you've understood it all, the final layer of this uncomfortable truth reveals itself. Listen closely, because this is where it all clicks. What truly sets apart those who walk through life with sovereignty isn't just that they control their time, their energy, their connections. It's that they've mastered something even more subtle, the art of strategic scarcity. Yes, you heard that right. Everything scarce becomes valuable. But it's not about faking scarcity. It's not about making yourself unreachable through cheap manipulative tactics. It's about becoming so whole within yourself that you naturally become selective with your energy. Your time shouldn't seem scarce as a performance. It should genuinely be reserved for what truly matters. Real scarcity can't be faked, and people sense it instantly. They see that you're not performing to impress, but living in alignment with your own values. And that, my friend, is magnetic in ways words can't fully explain. Because in the end, real influence isn't something you chase. It's the natural consequence of living with authenticity. Let me give you a powerful example. Think of the great thinkers, the quiet leaders, the creators who changed the world. None of them begged for attention. None kept their schedules open for anyone at any time. Their time was precious, their appearances rare, but when they showed up, they left a mark that lasted. And it wasn't because they shouted louder than the rest, but because they only spoke when they truly had something to say. Here's the final piece of the puzzle. Your worth isn't measured by how often you show up, but by the impact you leave when you do. People quickly grow numb to whatever is overly available. Overexposure drains you. But the right dose of mystery, the well-timed absence, the deliberate presence that builds an unforgettable image. Like the echo of a great phrase, it doesn't need to be repeated 1,000 times to be remembered forever. And now, I want to lead you to one final thought, something you might never have considered before. Your whole life is your signature. Every choice you make, every boundary you protect, every silence you embrace, every no you speak, everything leaves a mark. Everything says something about you, even when you say nothing, especially when you say nothing. So now, close your eyes for just a moment and imagine. If you vanished completely today, what echo would you leave behind? Would you be remembered for the noise you made, or for the depth of your presence? Because the answer to that question doesn't just define your influence, it defines your entire legacy. That's why, if this video has stirred something inside you, if something you heard today struck a chord like a silent thunder, I invite you to go beyond reflection. I invite you to act. Start today, not tomorrow. Set real boundaries. Guard your energy like the sacred force it is. Pull your pieces out of the game of noise and begin playing by your own rules. And if you've made it this far in the video, I know it's because there's a spark in you that refuses to go out. Leave this in the comments, just between us, a secret code for those who get it. Right? My silence will be my power. Let it be our quiet mark, a signal that you're not part of the crowd, lost in the noise, but part of a select few who have chosen to reclaim control. And of course, if you want to keep diving into these uncomfortable truths, these hidden paths toward a freer, deeper, more authentic life, subscribe, not to boost empty numbers, but so you don't miss the next pieces of this puzzle we're building together. Because here, we're not here to feed the noise. We're here to craft silences that will echo for years to come. Now, before you go, let me say goodbye in a different way. Not with a simple farewell, but with a question. One that, if you let it sit inside you, could change everything. What if tomorrow the world completely forgot you existed? Would you still walk with the same determination? Let that question sink in. Taste the vertigo it brings. And when the answer comes, don't say it out loud. Keep it, like a secret, like a silent weapon. Because remember, the most powerful weapon isn't the one on display. It's the one hidden, waiting, until it's truly needed. I'll see you in the next video. Or maybe you won't see me, but you'll feel my echo. Because true impact doesn't vanish with absence. It multiplies. So if this spoke to you, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share it with someone who truly needs to hear this. Let's awaken together. Have you ever felt like something inside you is on the verge of bursting, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is? Imagine this for a moment. You're going through life, doing all the things you're supposed to. Everything on the surface seems to be in order. But then, without warning, a spark ignites within you. It's not just a fleeting thought, it's a powerful, almost overwhelming feeling, as if your very soul were shouting, "Wake up, there is more for you." That precise moment, that internal call, is something the great Carl Jung explored decades ago. And what he uncovered wasn't buried in dusty old books or hidden behind complicated theories. No, the truth he found is something far more intimate. It's inside you. It's waiting, quietly, patiently, for you to hear it. And when you finally do, when your sense of self begins to grow, you come to a remarkable realization. Nothing can stop you. That's what we're diving into today, because this isn't just another video. This is an invitation to peel back the layers of your own existence and awaken the deeper version of yourself that's been waiting in silence. Think about it. How many times have you felt like something just doesn't quite fit? Maybe you're in a relationship that looks perfect on social media, but once you turn off your phone, a quiet emptiness lingers, one you can't quite explain. Or maybe you've got the kind of job people envy, one that brings applause and admiration from those around you. But every morning, there's that heaviness, an invisible weight on your chest that you can't seem to shake off. Jung, a revolutionary thinker who transformed how we understand the human mind, would tell you this: you're not crazy, you're not weak, you're not being dramatic. What you're feeling is your unconscious mind trying to speak to you, whispering truths that your conscious mind isn't ready to accept. And here's the powerful truth. When you begin to listen to that voice, really listen, and allow yourself to love and value who you truly are, everything starts to shift. Let's talk about you. Yes, you, the one watching or listening right now. You're not just another viewer. You're someone with a story, someone with dreams, with wounds, with quiet battles that maybe you've never told a single soul about. Jung believed that within each of us is an entire universe, one made of both light and shadow, and that universe defines who we are and how we experience life. But here's the catch. Most of us are taught to ignore it. We've been conditioned to seek approval from others, to measure our worth by likes and followers, by praise, by paychecks, by how well we fit in. Sound familiar? I thought it might. And you're not alone. I've been there too, trapped in that endless hamster wheel of comparison, perfection, and performance. But Jung offered us a way out. He spoke of something called individuation, a process not of becoming perfect, but of becoming whole. He was telling us, in essence, stop trying to be who the world wants you to be. Start becoming who you really are. And when you finally do that, when you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I am worthy, I deserve more," something magical happens. Your self-esteem doesn't just improve, it takes off like a rocket. Can you imagine what life would be like if you woke up every morning with that feeling? I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about a solid, unshakable love for yourself. A love so deep that no criticism, no rejection, no bad day could take it away. Take a breath. Right now. Inhale, exhale. What are you feeling? Is there something in your life that weighs heavily on you? A relationship that drains you? A fear that paralyzes you? A whispering doubt that keeps saying you're not enough? Stay with me, because we're going to explore all of that together. Jung believed that our unconscious mind isn't an enemy. It's a guide, a wise inner companion that speaks to us through symbols, dreams, and even those strange gut feelings we often ignore. Have you ever had a dream you couldn't forget, or a sudden intuition that warned you against something, and later you realized it was right? That's not a coincidence. That's your unconscious trying to guide and protect you. Now let's talk about something many people fear: the shadow. Those parts of you that you hide away because you think they're ugly, shameful, or unacceptable. Jung called this the shadow. But here's the twist: it's not something bad. Your shadow might be the anger that rises when you're treated unfairly, the sadness that hits without a clear reason, even the envy you hate admitting. Guess what? We all have those shadows. I have them. You have them. Even the people who seem like they've got it all figured out have them. Jung taught us something radical. Don't run from your shadow. Embrace it. Because when you stop pretending it doesn't exist and say, yes, this is part of me too, you become more whole, more real, more powerful. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads. One path is bright, lined with signs that promise guaranteed success, full of people cheering you on saying, this is the right way. The other path is dark, uncertain, shrouded in mist. No promises, no guarantees. Most people take the first path. It's safer, it's comfortable, it's what's expected. But Jung would say, hold on, that second path, the one you fear, that's the path that leads you back to yourself. And once you begin walking it, once you summon the courage to face your fears and love yourself, flaws and all, your self-esteem becomes unstoppable. Have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone? Like they somehow sucked the life out of you without even saying much? Maybe it's a friend who constantly criticizes you, a partner who never really listens, a boss who makes you feel small. Jung wouldn't call that bad luck. He'd call it a sign. Your unconscious is trying to tell you something vital. Protect me. Take care of me. Don't let anyone dim your light. Because your energy, yes, yours, is sacred. It's what gives you life. It's what drives you to get up each day, to love, to create, to dream. And when you start protecting that energy, when you learn to say no to what drains you and yes to what feeds your soul, something extraordinary happens. You feel unstoppable. Think about a relationship in your life that isn't working. The repeated arguments, the silent treatments that hurt more than words, that constant sense of swimming against the current. How many times have you told yourself, I just need to try harder. Maybe it's my fault. Stop. Breathe. What if it's not about trying harder? What if it's about listening deeper to yourself, to that inner voice you've been silencing for too long? What if the most powerful thing you can do isn't to keep pushing, but to finally pause, reflect, and choose yourself? Because at the heart of Jung's message, that's what it all comes down to. Choosing you. Choosing to look within instead of outward. Choosing to make peace with your past. Choosing to honor your truth, your wounds, your strengths, and your shadows. And when you do that, when you truly accept yourself, you unlock a level of freedom and strength that nothing in the external world can offer. So ask yourself, are you ready? Not to be perfect, not to have it all figured out, but to be real, to be whole, to finally come home to who you are. If the answer is yes, then keep going, because this is just the beginning. Let me tell you something that Carl Jung would understand perfectly. Not everything in life is meant to be saved. Sometimes letting go is not giving up. It's freeing yourself. It's a powerful message you send to your unconscious mind saying, I deserve peace. I deserve love. I deserve to be me. And when you finally release what no longer aligns with your soul, you open a door. a door to something better, to something that fits the person you're becoming. This isn't just my opinion. It's something life itself keeps trying to show us. Let's keep going. Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain people just get under your skin? That coworker who always has something critical to say. That family member who judges you every chance they get. Or maybe that partner who always seems to push your buttons in exactly the right or wrong way. Jung had a fascinating explanation for this. Projection. What annoys you in others? What sets off your emotional alarms? What frustrates or irritates you? It's often a reflection of something unresolved within yourself, something hidden, something you haven't been willing to face. Sounds strange? Stay with me, because this idea has the power to shift not only how you relate to others, but how you see yourself. Pause. Breathe again. Before we move forward, I want to take a moment to share something with you. My book is now available. It's filled with guidance, insights, and tools to help you break through emotional blocks and learn how to love yourself more deeply. You'll find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Now let's keep going. Think about someone who irritates you deeply. Picture them. What exactly is it that bothers you? Is it their selfishness, their insecurity, their constant need to control? Now here comes the tough question. Brace yourself. Is there a part of you, even a small one, that shares some of those traits? Maybe not something you'd openly admit, but Jung would say that your anger isn't just about them. It's a clue, a sign pointing toward your shadow, the parts of yourself you've tried to ignore or suppress. But here's the magic. When you begin to explore those parts, when you sit with yourself and say, okay, I'm ready to look at this, transformation happens. You start healing. And in that process, something remarkable unfolds. Your self-worth begins to grow in a way you've never experienced before, because you're no longer hiding from yourself. You're embracing the entirety of who you are, shadows and all. Let's talk about self-love, not the superficial kind you see on social media, not just mantras and pretty captions. I'm talking about real self-love, the kind that hurts, the kind that challenges you, the kind that forces you to stand in front of the mirror, look into your own eyes, and say, I love you. I love you completely, even with your cracks, your flaws, your scars. Jung believed something profound. You cannot truly love another person more than you love yourself. Read that again. If you're in a relationship where you feel small, where you have to hide parts of who you are, where you have to pretend in order to be accepted, then that's not love. That's a transaction. And you, the person hearing this right now, you deserve more. You deserve a love that lifts you up, that inspires you, that sees you for who you really are, and lets you be that person, without condition. Now here's what happens when your self-worth begins to rise. Your relationships start to change. Suddenly, you stop tolerating things you once thought you had to accept. You say no, and you say it without guilt. You start drawing boundaries with clarity and calm. And just like that, you begin attracting people who truly see you, who genuinely value you, who respect you without needing you to change. It's almost as if the universe steps in and says, finally, you got it. Now, here's what you truly deserve. But to get to that point, you have to do the inner work. You have to peel off the masks you've been wearing. Let go of the excuses. Walk away from the relationships that tie you to a version of yourself that no longer feels true. Imagine this. You're at a party, surrounded by laughter, conversation, music. Everyone tells you how lucky you are, how good your life looks, and yet deep inside, there's an emptiness, a hollowness you can't explain. Jung would say that this emptiness is your unconscious calling you home, not to a place, but to yourself. That empty feeling isn't there to punish you. It's there to wake you up. And the way to fill it is not with more noise, more likes, more distractions. It's through authenticity. It's through truth. It's through sitting in silence, tuning in, and asking yourself, what do I really want? What makes me come alive? What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Let's do something together. A small exercise. Close your eyes just for a moment. Think about a dream you once had, something you really wanted to do, to be, to experience, but that somewhere along the way you let go of. Maybe it was the dream to travel the world, to write a book, to start a business, or maybe just to live more freely, more fully. Do you see it now? Now ask yourself, why did I let that go? Was it fear? Was it what others would say? Was it a relationship that made you question your worth? You can open your eyes now. That dream isn't dead. It's waiting for you to remember it, to reclaim it, to believe again that you're worthy of it. And when your self-esteem grows, when you stop waiting for permission and start choosing yourself, nothing can stop you. Let's talk about the people you allow into your life. Jung once said that our relationships are mirrors of our inner world. Every person you get close to reflects something back to you. The ones who uplift you show you your light. The ones who hurt you reveal the places where you still need healing. Each connection is an invitation to grow, to reflect, to become more aware. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with people who remind you of who you really are, not who you've had to become, to survive. You deserve connections that nourish your soul, not ones that drain it. Relationships that reflect your strength, your value, your essence, not your wounds. And never forget, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Make it the most honest, the most compassionate, the most courageous one. Because when that relationship is strong, everything else in your life starts to shift. You begin to live not from fear, but from power. Not from shame, but from truth. Not from emptiness, but from wholeness. And that's when the real magic begins. If you're constantly surrounded by people who dim your light, who make you feel small, unworthy, or invisible, let me tell you something important. That's not a coincidence. It's not just bad luck or an unfortunate pattern. It's a mirror, a reflection of how you've been treating yourself internally. The world outside of you often echoes the world within you. If you constantly criticize yourself, tolerate what hurts you, or settle for less than you deserve, life will bring you exactly that. But here's the beautiful part, the empowering part. You have the ability to change that reality. Yes, you do. You can decide right now, in this very moment, that from today forward, you will only allow people into your life who add to your light, who inspire you, who push you forward instead of holding you back. And let's get one thing clear. That's not selfishness. That's emotional survival. That's choosing your peace over the approval of others. That's learning to love yourself enough to protect your energy. It's choosing yourself, not because you're better than others, but because you finally realize that you're worthy of better. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt like you've known them forever? Like your souls recognized each other before your minds even caught up? That magical sensation where the conversation flows effortlessly and something inside whispers, "This person is meant to be in your life." Carl Jung called those moments synchronicity. meaningful coincidences that seem to happen for a reason. Those magical alignments that make you believe the universe is, in fact, listening. But here's the truth. Synchronicity can't find you if you're still clinging to the wrong people, to relationships that drain you, or to versions of yourself that no longer reflect who you truly are. Let go. Just let go. When you release what no longer serves you, when you finally align with your truth, something shifts. Suddenly, the right connections start showing up. Friends who genuinely understand you, partners who truly see you, opportunities that feel like they were designed just for you. But it all starts with a single, courageous act. Releasing what you've been holding on to out of fear, habit, or obligation. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what are you still carrying that no longer belongs to you? Is it a toxic relationship that constantly wounds your spirit? A job that suffocates your creativity and joy? A limiting belief planted long ago that says you're not good enough? Now imagine your life without those weights. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of lightness, of excitement, of peace. Imagine opening your eyes and feeling aligned, like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's not some distant fantasy. That's what happens when you listen to your subconscious, when you stop betraying yourself to please others, when you finally give yourself the love, respect, and freedom you've always deserved. It's not about fixing everything overnight. It's about choosing every day to grow a little more, to heal a little deeper. When your self-esteem begins to rise, really rise, you start to feel unstoppable. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger, more grounded, more connected to who you are at your core. Carl Jung didn't just leave us with theories or complex psychological maps. He gave us tools for transformation. And at the heart of it all, there's a simple yet powerful truth. When you learn to value yourself, truly and deeply, you stop looking for validation in the wrong places. You stop letting the world decide your worth. You take the power back and place it where it belongs, within. Think about the darkest moments in your life. Those moments when everything felt like it was falling apart, when you felt broken, lost, shattered beyond repair. What happened after? I bet you discovered a strength inside you that you didn't even know existed. Jung believed those dark moments are not punishments. They're invitations. They're gifts disguised as chaos. Because it's in the pain, in the uncertainty, in the depths of despair, that we come face to face with our most authentic selves. And when you rise from that darkness, scarred maybe, but wiser, stronger, more compassionate, your self-worth becomes unshakable. Let's be honest, the world won't always celebrate you for being your true self. Some people will judge you. Others won't understand your journey. Some may even try to silence your voice or dim your light. But here's the secret Jung taught us. You don't need their approval. You never did. Your value doesn't come from them. It comes from within. And once you understand that, once you decide to love yourself, flaws, wounds, imperfections and all, the external noise fades into the background. It becomes just that, noise. You keep walking, because now you know who you are, and more importantly, what you deserve. You deserve relationships that nourish your soul, not ones that leave you feeling empty. You deserve dreams that ignite your passion, not fears that paralyze you. You deserve a life that makes you smile when you wake up in the morning, not one that has you counting the days until the weekend just to catch your breath. And all of that, every bit of it, begins with a choice. The choice to love yourself enough to let go of what hurts and to embrace what heals. So, take a breath, a deep one. Inhale the possibility of a new life. Now imagine your life 1 year from today. If you truly walk this path, if you choose yourself again and again, imagine waking up at peace, surrounded by people who see you, value you, love you for who you really are. Imagine chasing goals that don't just pay your bills, but light up your spirit. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when you listen to your inner wisdom, when you follow the voice of your unconscious, when you treat your self-esteem not as a weakness to hide, but as your greatest superpower. Now I want you to do something, not for me, but for you. For this moment we've shared. When this video ends, grab a piece of paper and write down 3 things. 1 relationship you need to release, 1 fear you need to face, and 1 dream you are finally ready to pursue. Don't overthink it. Just write whatever comes to mind first, and then make yourself a promise. Say it out loud or quietly in your heart. I will love myself enough to make this real. Because you, yes you, the one watching this, you have the power to change everything. This is my call to action for you. If something I said resonated with you, if even a small part of this message touched your heart or made you feel like it was meant for you, don't stay silent. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you felt, what you're ready to let go of, and what you're ready to chase with all your soul. Your words won't just inspire me. They'll inspire everyone who reads them. Because we are building something beautiful here. A community grounded in truth, healing, and growth. And if you believe someone else needs to hear this message, share it. Send it to that friend who's feeling lost, that person who needs a little push, that soul who's waiting for a sign. Because when you share this message, you're not just spreading words, you're awakening power in someone else. If you haven't already, subscribe. Turn on the bell, because this doesn't end here. Every video I upload is for you, for us, so we can keep growing together, so we can keep uncovering what it truly means to be alive. This channel isn't just mine. It belongs to all of us. And every time you like, comment, share, or show up, you're helping this message reach further, touch more lives, spark more transformations. Life is full of infinite possibilities, and you have the power to choose how you want to live it. Jung reminded us that it all begins within, that the answers we seek are already inside us, waiting to be heard. So today, I invite you to take that step. Listen to your voice, embrace your shadows, honor your essence. Because when you do that, when your self-worth rises, you start to realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, change begins with you. And I'll be right here, walking beside you every step of the way. I'm waiting for you.